OpenAI and Google went head to head against each other last week, and it makes sense because they have to get their story out before Microsoft Build and Apple WWDC and all the other developer and AI conferences that are going to come out. But they were definitely head to head, OpenAI and Google last week. We saw ChatGPT 4.0 versus Google's release of Astra, and it was interesting to see how they were positioning themselves. So, Charlie, I'm curious what you saw there that really got your attention.
Well, probably the gamesmanship is the first thing, right? I mean, so Google obviously had their I/O conference. It's a big thing. Everyone knew it was coming. And OpenAI, 3 or 4 days in advance, announced that they had this big announcement on the eve of the Google conference. Clearly, this was an effort to upstage them and to sort of steal the spotlight. And I think it worked. I think they won this particular battle because really, if you look at it, two things. One is, and I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure Google is saying Astra is actually not going to be out until later this year. OpenAI is starting the rollout right now of ChatGPT 4.0. So they are, in fact, not only do they announce first, but they're first to market. They sort of got that initial hoopla of because really they're very, very similar in terms of their capabilities. And so this sort of hoopla over, hey, this was cool. And frankly, they just had a better demo. I mean, I thought that they did a really good job of demonstrating what it looked like and how it could impact. If you haven't seen the full demo where they helped with math homework, I mean, there were, for me, even someone who follows this a lot, light bulbs going off, going, wow, this could truly be transformative in a lot of different contexts. So, from putting my CIO or my enterprise hat on, I think that there's a huge gap still between what this means and how this then gets applied in enterprise context. But it doesn't take a huge leap to see that we can start applying this in very interesting ways with this whole visual layer. So if you weren't following along, both of these, what they really announced is these have multimodal models, which means you can, instead of having effectively multiple models that the interface would sort of sit and parse, now suddenly the model itself can understand the audio, can understand the video, and can make inferences based on that. And that is, and what the big net result of is it's much, much faster, and it maintains context because it's not model switching. And I've been using it. I've noticed the speed difference instantly. It's like, it was shocking how much faster it was. So I think it's a big leap forward. I think it allows, for an enterprise leader to start imagining more real world applications, because the latency was always an issue. And now that suddenly is going to start falling away, and the multimodal aspects of it start to say, hey, how do you apply this for like insurance claims, as an example, where you are automatically going to have that sort of visual layer, or et cetera. So it was impressive to me from an OpenAI perspective in particular. Google's equally impressive, but we sometimes forget Google was first, really, in almost all these areas, and to see them sort of playing catch up even on their own, when they have the show, that was sort of frustrating. It's like I sort of expected more. So for me, OpenAI definitely won this sort of head to head.
Yes, I feel like OpenAI, for better or for worse, has this very interesting mindset, trying to create this artificial assistant, talking about general artificial intelligence. And whether you believe that's real or not, at the end of the day, they're trying to create more realistic AI. They understand the idea of trying to create conversational AI and tools that you can interact with. And I think that's a fundamental advantage, because it means that ChatGPT and OpenAI are always focused on trying to be more like an assistant or a tutor or a true co-pilot, someone you can actually interact with, rather than an assistant that you're simply typing words into. For OpenAI, that's just a means to an end. It is not a technical goal in and of itself. And so they've been smart in always creating these products that you are able to instantly identify as some sort of task completing thing. whereas Google has always fallen prey to the challenge of not being able to fully productize capabilities. So they have all these cool abilities that you can see. For instance, at the show at Google I/O, they had a demonstration of where they would draw something and the AI would guess what you had drawn, which is kind of a cool demo, but I don't know what I use that for in the workplace. If I draw a teddy bear on my tablet and it guesses it's a teddy bear, like that's fantastic, but what does that have to do with my work? Like I don't know. I literally can't figure out how to get from here to there. So I think there's this fundamental difference in how they are going about their work. And this is always going to be a problem for Google, because if there's one big doubt about Google, it is whether they will keep products alive. Unless a product literally has 100 million users, Google is willing to throw it into the fire, no matter how beloved, how highly ranked, and how best in class it might be. And it's hard to figure out what Google is going to commit to. So I think Google still faces that challenge, both in AI and in other enterprise products, and they didn't answer that with Google I/O.
Well, and I think, Google's challenge has always been that they've never really had a revenue model other than advertising driven by search. And so it makes you need that kind of scale to generate revenue in that way. And I think that's always been a gap. I think that there are two big other takeaways from, from my point of view as I look at this. One, it makes Microsoft look really, really smart, right? Because it allows Microsoft and OpenAI partnership to say OpenAI is going and just pushing the envelope at pace, which is remarkable if you think about it, at pace with someone like Google, right? Leading the pace, arguably, despite the resource difference. And Microsoft is able to sit there and bring that sort of enterprise view and the operationalization of it for the enterprise use cases. And that's a super, super powerful combination that I think is going to be really interesting as this continues to play out. The other big thing, everyone sort of, there's a lot of speculation when OpenAI announced that they were going to have this, that it was going to be related to them releasing a search product that was going to preemptively compete with Google or compete with Perplexity AI. And they did not do that. They sort of stuck to their knitting, as you said, of the assistant angle. And what, again, sort of remarkable, while Google did introduce some innovation around AI search, it was not nearly it wasn't the Perplexity killer. It wasn't, anything that was truly remarkable in that regard. And so, yeah, it was just it was this really sort of interesting dynamic that played out last week.